The story of the Titanic from construction to sinking. When most people think of the Titanic, they think of the famous disaster in which the ship sank on its maiden voyage. But what many people don't know is that the Titanic was actually a huge project. There were a lot of obstacles that the builders faced, and they had to overcome a lot of challenges to get her completed. What's up, guys? You're watching Ocean Uncovered. And as the title of the video suggests, today we'll be talking about the Titanic itself. It's hard to believe that the Titanic, one of the most infamous ships in history, was actually built over 100 years ago. Even today, her construction remains unprecedented, and her sinking is a tragic and unforgettable event. The Titanic was the largest ship of her time, measuring almost 900 feet in length. She was made of over 1 million pieces of steel and required 26 miles of wire to be installed in her hull. Her construction was an enormous undertaking and presented many unexpected challenges. For instance, the steel plates for her hull were enormous and had to be transported across the ocean from England. The sheer size of the plates caused them to warp in the cold weather, meaning that they had to be heated before they could be installed. Another obstacle during construction was the massive flooding that took place in the shipyard where the Titanic was being built. The rushing water caused by the flooding destroyed important equipment and delayed work on the ship for months. Despite these and other challenges, however, the Titanic's construction was finally completed in 1912. She was ready to sail across the Atlantic Ocean on her maiden voyage. Unfortunately, we all know how that turned out to be. Interesting facts about the Titanic. Here are some interesting facts about the Titanic you might not know. The ship was made for the rich and famous of the time, and they had many luxuries aboard the ship, including a luxurious restaurant and a library stocked with books. There was also a swimming pool and even a squash court. The reason Titanic sank so quickly was because of its design. It was built with 16 watertight compartments that were meant to keep it afloat in an emergency. Unfortunately, these compartments were not strong enough to keep up with the copious amount of water that flooded them after it hit the iceberg. The story of its sinking is also extraordinarily tragic. It took 2 hours for the sinking to occur, which meant people had very little time to escape. Most of those who did make it out alive were from the higher classes in society, but some of the lower class passengers managed to survive. In total, 1,517 people lost their lives due to this unforgettable maritime disaster. Who the Titanic was made for? A look at the ship's targeted members of society. When the Titanic was first commissioned, there was much speculation over who the ship was meant for. Some believed that it was meant for the affluent, while others thought that it would be a symbol of hope for the poor and underprivileged. However, the fact is that the Titanic was made for the elite members of society, and it was meant to be the most luxurious ship ever built. She was equipped with all the latest amenities, and her passengers would have enjoyed every moment of their voyage. But, unfortunately, she never got to fulfill her destiny. She sank on her very first voyage, and thousands of people lost their lives. How luxurious was the Titanic? You can only imagine how luxurious the Titanic was for its time. After all, it was designed for the rich and famous. As expected of a ship this grand, the Titanic boasted an immense variety of luxurious accommodations. From the first-class cabins ranging from modest staterooms to opulent suites with sumptuous furniture and lavish decorations, to luxurious dining rooms, grand salons and lounges, and even steam-powered Turkish baths. The interior wasn't only luxurious in terms of size and style. The Titanic was also equipped with state-of-the-art technologies, from elevators that carried passengers between different decks to advanced communication systems such as telegraphs and telephones. Of course, none of these amenities mattered in the end, as the Titanic sank in 1912. But at least society's elite could enjoy its luxuries while they lasted. How the Titanic sank, a timeline of events. The Titanic sank on April 15, 1912, after hitting an iceberg on its voyage from Southampton to New York. To understand what happened in a better way, here's a timeline of the tragic events that led to the ship's sinking. Around 8 p.m., the iceberg was first spotted by the lookout, Frederick Fleet. He tried to inform everyone he could, but there wasn't enough time to make major evacuations. Also, the panic was toning down all efforts made by the crew members. After that, at exactly 8:40 p.m., the ship hits the iceberg. It was a fatal crash and the damage was severe. The ship lost a lot of stability and the whole ship bounced in the ocean. At around 10 p.m., when the crew members finally took control of the ship, the order was given to begin evacuation. It sounded late, but the ship was still afloat, and they thought they could make it in time. However, exactly at 11:40 p.m., the Titanic split into two and sank. We all know how much of a loss this whole event was. It was a catastrophic event that left 1,500 people dead, and though the story of the Titanic is well known, it's still an interesting topic to explore in depth. Another interesting topic to explore would be the subscribe button. You can press it once and stay updated with our videos, and if you like what you see, why not like the video as well? What happened after the sinking of the Titanic? After the sinking of the Titanic in 1912, its story did not end. In fact, several people had a hand in ensuring that the Titanic became iconic worldwide. The White Star Line, who owned the Titanic and was responsible for its construction, faced several legal battles over matters such as negligence and lack of lifeboats on board the ship. The Titanic's legacy didn't stop there. In 1985, a joint American and French research team located its remains beneath the Atlantic Ocean. This discovery sparked public interest in the Titanic and led to several documentaries and films being made about it, thus immortalizing this ill-fated ship for years to come. Were there other factors apart from the iceberg that made the ship sink? It's no secret that the Titanic was doomed when it collided with the iceberg, but several other factors played a hand in its sinking. Firstly, the ship had limited lifeboats, only able to save 1/3 of its passengers and crew. Additionally, improper regulations and a lack of safety drills contributed significantly to the death toll. Moreover, the Titanic's builders used steel that was too brittle for transatlantic crossing due to its composition being unsuited for saltwater erosion. This meant that when it struck the iceberg, it cracked more easily than expected and took on the water more rapidly. In addition to this, there were many other design flaws, like lack of watertight compartments and engine room doorways that didn't open properly. Evidently, there were numerous factors beyond simply hitting an iceberg that led to this tragedy. An outcome most could have never imagined on a vessel intended for luxury and showmanship. Famous people and brave crew members of the Titanic. Besides the wealthy passengers, the Titanic also had notable people and brave crew members aboard. Among the passengers were John Jacob Astor IV, Benjamin Guggenheim, and Isidor Straus, all very wealthy business people. The ship's captain was Edward Smith, an experienced seaman who was known to be an excellent navigator. The crew of the Titanic totaled 887 people and performed their duties diligently right up until the ship sank. Many of them gave their lives so that others may live by opening doors and gates to allow passengers to escape. They also worked together to launch lifeboats and distribute life jackets quickly to save those on board. They did all of this at the cost of their own safety, demonstrating great courage in times of distress. When it was all said and done, the Titanic was an engineering marvel. It was huge and it was beautiful. It was the embodiment of luxury and class. It was the ship that was supposed to make the world a better place. But in the end, it was the ship that sank and killed over 1,500 people. The Titanic was a doomed ship from the beginning. It faced many obstacles during its construction, and it was plagued by bad luck from the start. But even in the face of all of that, it still managed to make it out to sea. And on that fateful night, it finally met its end. And that brings us to the ending of this video, my friends. I hope you enjoyed the video through and through. Make sure you press the bell icon once you've subscribed to the channel. Also, if we missed anything, or if you know something about the ship that no one does, make sure you drop a comment. Here are some more videos like this if you want to learn and explore more about the oceans.